I have been choked unconscious, I don't know how many times. It's been a lot. And every time was an accident. I didn't like intentionally plan to go out. And I've also choked a lot of people out, but instead of framing this in a douchey way and saying, here's all the times I choke people out, I thought I would focus it on all the times I got choked out and talk about the techniques and the positions and why it happened and why it happens. So I thought I'd go in chronological order, starting with my most embarrassing experience in Jiu-Jitsu history. So the most embarrassing moment I think I've ever had, probably in life, but definitely in Jiu-Jitsu, is being choked out in front of Grandmaster Elio Gracie, Royce Gracie, and Rorion Gracie. And it happened like this. We were at a camp and we were all rolling. I was a white belt. I think I was right around the cusp of getting my blue belt. And I hooked up with somebody, and during the rolling portion, we started on our knees, as it was wont to do in those days. And essentially it happened like this. We were starting here like this, and the guy was like very aggro, very much bigger than I was, and I was a teenager, and he asked me if I was ready, and so I was like, yeah, I'm ready, and he like shot his hands into the collar like this with so much force. I don't know how he even got his fingers in there as well as he did, but he with so much force it almost knocked me out. So in retaliation, all I could really do is pull him into my guard, thinking, well, guard is a superior position, so I'm fine now if I'm in Anya's position here, and this is the guy choking me. Well, and so he like framed up and put all his weight into it. I was, not only smaller and weaker, but also surprised and relying a little too heavily on the fact that I had the superior position of the guard to get the guy off of me. It didn't happen. He didn't give up on the choke. I woke up and I'm staring up at Rorion Gracie and Royce Gracie's wife, and then Royce Gracie's over here, Grandmaster Elio's right here. It was the most embarrassing, humiliating moment of my life because I felt really stupid. But the moral of the story, though, is that even though this choke, which is supposed to be applied from typically when someone's inside my guard or whenever I'm mounted on top of somebody, choked me unconscious because I kind of overestimated the power of the position. I was also taken off guard about how fast and furious it was. So I was operating at the wrong tempo, the wrong speed, everything. The proper application of this choke here is more likely from if I'm mounted on top of Anya here. Then what I'm looking to do from here is blouse open the collar, insert one hand palm up this way, the second hand goes in palm up or palm over, depending whether I'm going under or over the top arm. And then that's gonna determine now which arm is on top is gonna be where my head goes, and that's how I'm gonna execute this choke here, by first conforming to the shape of her neck, getting my good strong grips, pulling, constricting here, and then finally turning my hands to face me, and then that seals off all the space. It's a very tight, very powerful choke. I've probably choked people out with this one before, but that was my experience being choked out with this one. Number 2 on the list of me being choked unconscious was probably my buddy Jared Jessup. He choked me unconscious one of the earliest times I ever got choked out, and that was from just a standard triangle choke. He just had a really good one, and I really overestimated it because I was used to rolling with him, training with him. He was 14 years old, I was like 20 years old. And, I was playing a little loosey-goosey, maybe not. He was just got really good really early. And he threw up this triangle with his long, skinny legs, and I literally slept on it. So basically what was happening, though, is say that I'm inside the guard here, and back in those days, we were pass that we were mainly doing was blocking here on this arm. I was propping up, I was scooping inside here like this. Now, if I keep my posture good, this is a decent pass. Like this, this is a powerful pass, but I have to keep good posture. I have to stay over the top here like this, and I have to stack and keep her folded in half here like this. Make sure that my torso is located on the right portion of her leg. Now, if though I get a little too lazy and a little too lax, then it's easy for her to throw up this triangle here, boom, this way. Now I'm in some bad shape. There's triangles, late Hail Mary type of escapes I can do right now, but that was pretty early on and I wasn't very good at those, nor did I really need them that badly back then. And as a consequence, I couldn't complete my pass, fell asleep before I was done. But the big learning moment from that not only was learn how to pass better and learn how to prevent the triangle or escape the triangle late effort, but also to not depend too highly on the pass, not to get there and just assume that my pass is going to be powerful enough to finish this, even though they've thrown up the submission. So yeah, triangle choke probably puts more people to sleep than almost any other submission out there. The third time I've been choked unconscious, and this has happened a couple different times. maybe 2 or 3 times over the years. Doesn't happen anymore because I learned my lesson, thankfully, it was from bottom half guard, which is again a pseudo superior position that we consider in the positional hierarchy, and it was from the person on top hitting me with the Ezekiel choke. The Ezekiel choke, just for familiarity here, is essentially where I grab inside the cuff of my own gi. The gi that I usually wear these days, I only fit like 3 fingers inside instead of 4 fingers because like they're just too tapered, right? So the fingers go inside here like this, and then I'll weave inside, and then there's the opening here. You either make a fist, a paw, or just a karate chop hand and go through the neck. So essentially it looks like this here. Typically it happens from the mount, but in this particular case, this one was happening where I'm Anya in this case, and the guy that choked me out is not me. So when I get here like this, what was basically happening was this arm got isolated. Now, from here, it's a good idea for her to get her underhook because she can make some powerful things happen, and she can start to slip around in my back, start to set up sweeps, all kinds of cool stuff. So that's what I was fighting for in this bottom position. The problem was this arm's shoulder pressure. So because this arm was keeping my spine out of alignment and turning my head this way, and their head was down this direction, then what they were able to do is over here set this up unbeknownst to me, but beknownst to them. And so like from here, this way, all they have to do is find the little pocket of space, weave that hand inside, and then any kind of slight movement here is gonna punch over inside, and then they're gonna get this Ezekiel choke. Now, big key to the Ezekiel that makes this one a powerful choke, let's look at it from this side for just a second, is that whenever I get my grip set up, it's not just this. It's not just the weave, because look at all that big gap of space right there. So what has to happen is both of my arms have to shift, not just one, whenever I go to do it. So once I'm using my head to keep her head in this neutral position so that she doesn't turn her chin and block the choke. So while keeping it here, and I've got this one inserted in nice and deep, I've got this grip here, and whenever I go to weave through, both hands have to shift over this way. Now look at the connection here, it's tight around the neck. So the most common response here a lot of the time is at this late in the game is for the person to try to pull their head out or try to push me away. All that's gonna do is tighten it though. A lot of these chokes, the common theme that you're gonna see in this one and the next two, the common tendency a lot of the time is initially to try to push the person away. What that does though is it pulls on the actual connection of the choke, makes it tighter, so it's kind of like a Chinese finger trap. It's not something that you want to do a lot of times. The answer for these chokes is to push your way through to the other side. So that's a big learning moment too in a lot of these, especially if you get put to sleep on them, because it sucks to have that experience. So Ezekiel choke, I've been choked out with several times. But that time right there, that was one of the ones that sticks out in my memory, one of the earliest moments, because again, I had half guard bottom. I was good at sweeping from there, good at back takes, but I just made a couple of tactical errors, a couple big tactical errors, and I got slept because of it. The fourth one on the list is probably the one that is easiest for people to think they're a little safer than they are, and it's the baseball bat choke. In fact, I was showing this one on a recent video that I did with Icy Mike from the Hard to Hurt channel, and we were talking about the no-gi version of the baseball bat choke, which is the inferior model compared to the gi. The gi is much more powerful. So with the gi version, essentially what's happening is you're going one thumb in, one side palm up, fingers inside, so your hands imitate the hold of a baseball bat. So this choke is very powerful, partly because it's thrown on a lot of the time from bad positions intentionally. You can do it from good positions, and I recommend that more than doing from bad, but it's a good Hail Mary one to throw up, and that you can catch it from bad positions, and that's why so many people get slept on it. That's why I got slept on it, and basically it happened kind of like this the first time. And I've put several people to sleep with this one myself, but I've also been on the receiving end at least 2 or 3 times. Essentially what happens is like this here. If Anya is passing my guard, so I'll be the bad guy here, right? So she's passing my guard, she's getting past my legs, and so she expects me to frame and push on her. So a lot of times what will happen is something like this. But what you can do, or something like this, what you can do is, if you can be sneaky about getting your hand palm up, fingers inside like this, and make this kind of frame to keep them back and keep them committed to driving in on you, then what can happen here is, when she finally completes the pass like this, now the choke is completely locked in. The biggest thing I need to do right now is just make sure that my head gets close to her head so that she's not able to come and frame inside. Although, contrary to a couple of comments that I got on a recent video, that frame doesn't always stop it. She can frame if she wants to right here. And what I do instead of allowing her to frame and get out of it, if she frames and I stay here, maybe. But if I continue to turn, not so much. And it becomes really tight really fast, because as I go to turn, it starts out as a parallel choke, and as you rotate the position, it comes together and it simulates that cross choke we talked about in the very first example. So that, as someone is passing, becomes a really powerful, really dangerous tool. And again, in the mindset of the positional hierarchy, and you're thinking, okay, inferior to superior position, when I get to this good position, they're not supposed to attack me. And they're not tactically, but this is one of those instances where you can kind of flip it on its head, and whenever the person gets past the guard, even though they're passing and you're at that finish line, you cleared the legs, everything's going great, and then you're asleep. Then you wake up and wonder what happened because you were just doing so well. But even up to the level of black belt, I've been put to sleep with this one, and it sucks really bad because it's very deceptive, and it's the loop choke. The loop choke essentially is kind of like it sounds. You're starting one hand inside the collar, so whenever you have one hand inside the collar like this, inherently there's already a danger, because I'm cross collar grip, fingers inside, I've got a good strong deep grip, so I could go under, I could go over, I could start to set up different types of chokes, but the loop choke is one of those really deceptive ones. So in this case, if say I'm playing from butterfly guard, which is a common place for this to be set up, then if I get this hand inside the collar and Anya wants to start to pass my guard, she's typically going to go toward the side where my back is mostly exposed, right? So regardless of which side she's going to, if during that process she starts to drive her head forward at all, I can catch here, boom, and I can throw it down. Now, from here, basically all it is a guillotine, except it's a guillotine that she can't pull my hand away from her neck. So she's already caught in the choke like this. So at this moment here, then she's already moving into the pressure if she starts to go to the side. But like a guillotine, what a lot of people will do, what I did when I got choked out with this the first, second, probably third time, is that I start saying, oh shit, I don't go to this side whenever there's a guillotine involved, I go to this side. So then what happens here is this. Now, not only is it a loop choke, now it's a single wing loop choke, and this is really horrible right here this way. And you can get rolled over and finish like that. So basically, if we were gonna look at this from a tactical kind of standpoint, then this is what I would look at doing from here. I would start saying I'm gonna get the cross collar grip like this. I want her to think I'm gonna sweep her. As she starts to move to that side, I'm gonna tuck her head down and in like this. So now she's essentially caught in the choke. I don't have to do much else. I can almost let her pass my guard on the other side. As she does that though, this hand here, the free hand, is gonna reach through under her arm, and I'm gonna weave it to the back of her neck, and I'm gonna fall off to the side and allow her to come over me. So once we get over to this direction here, the way that we finish this choke, I keep my strong grip on her collar. This bottom hand starts to weave through to the back of her neck, and I start to turn and face her this way. So essentially, when we get there, I'm turning, and I want to spear her hand through this way, pulling the collar back, and it gets very tight very fast. Again, loop choke, very dangerous one. People often underestimate that one. You can do it from a lot of different positions, similar to how you do the baseball bat choke. You don't have to have a good position. You can do it while you're getting your guard passed. But on the technical side of things, I don't suggest having these as some of your primary tools in the arsenal. It's good to have backups. It's good to have Hail Marys. It's good to have desperation techniques you can throw up at the last second. Those will save you a lot of the time. But if that's the main thing you're relying on, and you're not building solid fundamentals of being able to prevent the guard pass or being able to pass guard yourself, then you're really going to shortchange yourself, and you're also going to find less and less opportunity to really employ some of these Hail Mary techniques because your fundamentals are not sound in the first place. So those are my experiences in getting choked completely unconscious with those different chokes. I've been choked unconscious multiple times, like I said before, but those are the ones that really stick out in my mind as far as types of chokes. And they're also ones that I've used in other cases to choke somebody unconscious. Not on purpose, it's just that they underestimated how deep it was, how long they had, how late they were into the choke, and just didn't have time to tap, and they fell asleep on it. So main thing above everything else, be safe whenever you're training, tap early and often. Don't let yourself get choked unconscious over and over again. It's not great for your brain. And stay safe whenever you're training, guys. I think I already said that, but that's because I've been choked unconscious a whole lot. So thank you, Anya. And thank you, Riley, for filming this. I appreciate you guys watching. Keep watching Night Jiu-Jitsu channel, and like, subscribe, share, comments, all that stuff.